guys, welcome back to another video. So one of the biggest games that was shown off at the Xbox showcase was Avowed, a game that a lot of people were looking forward to, and people were actually expecting to see this game, I believe, back in 2022, but it didn't show up. But they gave us a nice look at what the game is going to look like graphically, how it's going to play, one of the companions within the game. And they also talked more about Avowed at the Xbox Extended Showcase. But there was a point that was up for debate amongst people who did see the trailer, and it was the way that the game actually looked compared to the original reveal of Avowed. Now, when we think of Avowed, when they first showed it off, this is the image that comes to everybody's mind. And obviously this is very, very early on in development. It's just kind of the concept that they're trying to portray to people as to how this game is going to look and play in the style of game that it is, a fantasy RPG with magic and combat. And obviously this game is still going to have all of those elements. And they did show some of the combat and the magic and stuff with the trailer at the 2023 showcase. And one of the things that was completely different than this picture here was the actual art style. It was brighter. It didn't look, I guess, as realistic as this looks. But again, this was just an original screenshot showing off the concept. I actually thought the game looked pretty cool, especially one of the things was the mutated bear and then some of the other enemies and even the companion that was going to be talking to you throughout the game and his style and everything that the companion had. I thought it was actually done pretty well. So I'm very excited for Avowed, one of my most anticipated games coming out in 2024. But now we do have a little bit of information here from a developer at Obsidian in terms of where this game is and if things are going to change. This is from the RPGcodex.net forums, and specifically the developer at Obsidian says, Avowed isn't alpha yet. Art will get refined in various ways. Lighting will change. Avowed will have the longest we'll have for alpha/beta period for any game at Obsidian by a long shot, and is good news. So you can still expect stuff to change. But like I said, I mean, I think this looks very cool. Like the bear, the mutations, even the sword where you have the shine coming off of the end and the environments behind it, I think look good. I don't know what some of the complaints were. Of course, it looked a little bit different than that original reveal, but it wasn't like they had shown off gameplay and then they showed off the one from 2023 and it was completely night and day. It wasn't like a Babylon's Fall scenario here. It was just a concept art to what actually has come to fruition in terms of the development and where they are in the process of creating this game. And the other side of the coin here is that this is Obsidian. I mean, Obsidian has an incredible pedigree, so I have no worries about how this game is going to look, feel, play, all of that type of stuff. We go down here into the comments. We have some responses here and say, oh, this is interesting indeed. Say it's not alpha, but it's scheduled for 2024. It's either getting delayed or it's smaller than most people think. And that's one thing that potentially could happen, but I guess it depends where it releases in 2024. I'm expecting Avowed to be a later 2024 release, and then I'm expecting a Hellblade 2 to be an earlier 2024 release. There's also the flight simulator game that is supposed to be releasing in 2024, which will probably come somewhere in the middle with another game as well that will come somewhere in the middle. But we also heard at the extended showcase that it is going to be a smaller game. It isn't a massive open world Skyrim style of game. I think they've also come out and even said it isn't Obsidian's version of Skyrim. It is going to be more along the lines of the Outer Worlds. And if you remember that, there was like the hubs style of thing, and then you would go to different planets and you explore there. It's going to be more along those lines. So it isn't going to be a massive game, but it will be big enough and there will still be tons to explore. We have Carlos here saying, I'm playing right now through the Outer Worlds and Grounded, and I for one cannot wait for Avowed. They're going to knock it out of the park. I hope they take their time. This person says, icing on the cake will be an option to switch between first and third person, but still very much looking forward to Avowed since I love the Outer Worlds and did every side quest in the game pretty much. I love the Outer Worlds, which is another huge reason why I'm excited for this. And I mean, the Outer Worlds too, I absolutely can't wait to see that. This person says, I'm impressed with what I've seen. Global illumination, Lumen can make a game look much better. Lumen can take the game to the next level if they enable it. And these are features that I would love to see implemented in more games, especially from Xbox's first party. So we'll see how this game eventually does turn out. And I don't know if it not being an alpha yet is a huge worry. I still think it's going to release in 2024, but probably closer to the end of the year. And again, it's Obsidian and I have full faith in the games that they do make. Now, one game that wasn't at the Xbox showcase was Halo. And I don't think people are that surprised. I also don't think it's bad that it wasn't there. Halo needs its time to cook. It needs its time to get to season 4 and just try to bring people back into the game. I think season 4 potentially could have an effect with that. So we'll see how that all plays out when it gets released. But we now have information from Phil Spencer revealing why Halo was not at the show. And here is what Phil says. It says here, I wouldn't say Halo is of lesser importance, but we have over 20 studios now. I'll go back to the years where I had basically 4 games: Fable, Forza, Halo, and Gears. And I mean, we all know the memes and the making fun of that Xbox took for the Halo, Gears, and Forza stuff that everyone always just said that's all Xbox ever put out. And clearly we are way past those days now. It says the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. We have a lot more games out. We've been pretty public about the leadership change at 343. You can kind of see that in some of the social things the studio has been doing around seasons, but I don't want to force them to talk about their longer term visions until they're ready. I think you'll see some pretty cool things coming. And there is the rumor of Project Tank, the battle royale-esque version of Halo Infinite that is going to be worked on, or is being worked on, by Certain Affinity. I had a prediction that maybe they will announce that at this show and kind of try to build that hype for the game, or do something crazy and shadow drop a brand new mode into Halo and try to get people to jump in right away. If you remember with Halo Infinite, one of the coolest things that they did do was shadow drop the multiplayer at the showcase that happened, I believe it was in November of 2021, where they came out and they said you can go ahead and play multiplayer right now, and then the campaign and everything came out later in December. So that was awesome. And I was thinking maybe they would do something like that, but Infection is coming in season 4, and a lot of people love Infection, so I think people will be excited to jump back in. But now we know why. I mean, this is a good thing at the end of the day. This is a great thing that Halo wasn't there, that they didn't need to rely on Halo for any sort of hype or for any sort of excitement around the Xbox platform. It just really shows how they've grown from Halo, Forza, Gears to the amount of studios that they have now making huge games. Like if you think about Starfield coming out, you even think about Avowed again, and everything else that is being worked on, the Compulsion game South of Midnight, which looks really, really cool. I think a lot of people are excited for that. And then I think one of the biggest surprises from the showcase that everybody's talking about is Clockwork Revolution for Hitman Exile. So it's a great time for Xbox first-party studios where they have all these games to show off, and then they can start rolling with releasing them. Hopefully continue to keep that promise of at least 4 games a year, a game released every single quarter. Now, we'll move on to the last thing here, which has to do with a huge game coming out very soon. That is Final Fantasy 16, as we know, is a console exclusive to the PlayStation 5. The demo is out. The game is so far seeming like it is going to be a very good game. I really enjoyed the demo. I do like Final Fantasy, so I probably will be checking this out. But one of the things that we heard about Final Fantasy 16 was that it was so polished, it was so ready that there wouldn't be a day one patch. And it looks like they are taking a U-turn on that, as there will be a day one patch from Final Fantasy 16. And this was confirmed during a pre-release live stream on the weekend, saying that the game's development team said that the update would fix progression and crash issues, as well as making performance improvements in different parts of the game. Specifically, it says here is the message in English from Koji Fox. He says it is a minor issue fix and it is not needed to play the game. You can play the game without the day one patch. So there will be a day one patch. It is minor. And I guess the other thing a lot of people have been talking about with Final Fantasy 16, because there are always, you know, what happens when you have a huge game that's announced and releasing for the rival platform, which is going to be Xbox and Starfield, and the whole 30 FPS thing on that console. People were looking at the Final Fantasy 16 FPS and the fact that it wasn't hitting 60 FPS as well, and the resolutions that weren't at 4K, all of those types of things. It will be very interesting to see how this game runs on the PS5 after the official release, after all the patches and everything come out, day one at least, and how Digital Foundry does their analysis, what they come up with, as well as the other channels out there that will look at the technical side of Final Fantasy 16. But if you don't care about that, I will say from the demo, this may be one of the better Final Fantasies that we have gotten in a very long time, as it is fun. The story is pretty compelling as soon as you jump in there. And I really like that Devil May Cry style of gameplay. So pretty excited for Final Fantasy 16. But I will leave the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video.